Hi, come on
Hi,
in.
thank you.
You go straight in the back.
Straight in the back, thank you very much.
No problem.
Hey, how's it going, Anthony? Good to see you.
How are you?
Hey. Good to see you again.
What's up?
Fred.
How you doing? Good.
Yes, sir.
Come on in.
They're talking about bankrupt estates.
How you doing? I'm John.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Freddie Noondike.
Hey,
Yes,
how you
sir.
doing? Come on in.
Ron,
My brother, Ron
Noondike.
Hi,
to see you guys.
Danny, nice to meet you.
Sit down, guys.
Awesome. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. Got a little
No
lost.
problem. Sit. You make it all right? I mean, you have any problems?
Just a few. Yeah, it took a wrong subway or two, but that set us back. But
Cup of coffee or water?
thank you.
You want some
I'll have
coffee?
a cup of coffee would be
Want
great.
a cup of
Sure,
coffee?
thanks.
Thanks.
You want one?
Yeah, thanks.
All right, guys, why don't you give me a little background on what
Tell us a little
what
bit
you
about what
do?
you guys do.
So Danny tells me he's met with one of you guys
My
before.
brother, Tony.
Yeah.
So,
Explain to John and us what exactly what do you guys do, though?
You want to
what
go?
what have you explained to?
I just talked to Anthony a little bit.
Okay.
Gave him a little bit of a synopsis.
So we're Earth Supply and Renewal. Basically, we our goal is basically it's interesting because we've gotten a lot of criticism from the right wing, who say that our operations are futile, but because they say, oh, you just dig ditches and take the dirt out and put it back in. But we feel what we're doing is we're actually putting people to work. I mean, the jobs aren't totally here yet, they're coming back in, but we're putting people back to work, we're getting them ready. Essentially, it's basically like training, essentially. We think it's a very valuable service to the community. We think that we've actually gotten a lot of support from certain legislators that we've worked with, and people who we've gotten actually some good private investments so far. I mean, it's promising. We have more people who are interested in.
Whereabouts do you dig on? Do you dig like prior to construction projects or something like that, like for artifacts, historical artifacts and stuff like that, or?
No, we haven't. I mean, not recently. Right now, we've just been assigned to different sites. We've just been digging the ditches. Then we dig the ditch, we take the dirt, and we put the dirt. We actually just take the dirt and put it right back in the ground, which is all we've really been doing.
So like the old, what was that that FDR had?
Yeah, the works project.
Yeah, I mean that's literally what it's
So where
been
do
like.
you get your sites and who hires you? How do you-
We get our sites from just up wherever we get it. I mean, I just dig. That's all I really do.
Well, who do you work for?
Earth Supply and Renewal is the name of the company.
Well, they're a not-for-profit?
Is this a non-for-profit?
Yeah, I believe so.
Where do they get their money? Where do they-
I believe grants.
They get their
Well,
grants?
Yeah.
It's been around since like the late '90s.
Yeah.
The founder isn't really with us, but and it was pretty much, inactive. Not really much was going on. I started back in, '09, kind of on a contract basis, but we're really trying to prioritize it right now. Especially with what's going on, the administration has a certain emphasis on green jobs and putting people back to work and
So
reinvest.
would you guys actually, would you analyze the soil after you dig it, or try to remediate it if it's toxic, or are you that sophisticated yet, or
No.
But
wouldn't that give you more credibility?
well, yeah, and that's actually a very good point. That's something
there's a
that
lot
we've
of things-
discussed, because there are, certain people in green entities who have actually expressed interest in what we're doing and have said that they want to basically bring some of their people. There's some interest in what we're doing.
Brownfields, you've heard of the brownfields all around the state.
Yeah.
They have certain parcels of land around the state that are designated brownfield, meaning that it's toxic. And before you can develop it, it has to be remediated. So you get companies that come in that will excavate. They have one particular sophisticated process where they'll actually take the dirt, put it into this big, like almost a concrete truck, spin it around, heat it up, sterilize the soil, and then dump it back in. And then when they're finished, they come and they do samples, and they say it's certified clean, toxic free, makes it a valuable
Right,
property
right.
for development, so I'm just trying to get a hook on how you sell your product, you're gonna come in, and unless it's strictly a WPA job where you're just trying to create work, period,
I mean, that's kind of basically
That's
what
basically
it is,
what
but
it is.
there are people who have seen merit in what we're doing, especially from the green, more green circles.
Well, why would they see that as, besides the jobs that they could create, what are you doing for the environment?
Well, I mean, basically what we want to talk to you guys about is, we want to
I'm not knocking you, I'm just trying to get an understanding.
Basically, there's not, I don't know, people do see merit in what we're doing somehow, especially and there have been people who have been wanting to provide their resources in terms of obtaining federal and local funds for us, and getting, somehow obtaining,
We're putting people to work, we're keeping people employed,
Yeah.
That's,
I'm part of the Green Jobs, Green New York Coalition, actually, and I helped get some of that legislation passed in New York State.
okay.
And what that has to do is primarily the weatherization of homes, retrofitting homes, and that type of stuff. It's been kind of slow. There's been a lot of grant money out there for training, but there really hasn't been a lot of money out there to do the work. So we're almost to that process right now where, we've actually trained some folks to do that. And now some money's coming into the, so they're actually going to start retrofitting homes. But, so we could probably help you in that sense too, to get you into that industry. We know all the folks that do that, that do that type of work. Do both you guys work for Earth Supply and Renewal, right?
That's correct.
And is the, who owns this, or who is the president of this nonprofit?
His name is Pedro Santino. Pedro Santino.
And what is his feelings on the whole process here? What would he say if he knew you guys were down here talking to us?
Well, actually, he's pretty open to it.
He kind of basically delegated us to essentially get support, and find allies, find people who, be them legislators, be them, labor people who want to, who see something in what we're doing, and also people in the environmental scene who see merit in what we're doing, want
Thank
to
you very
help
much,
us,
Anthony.
pool our,
Appreciate it.
Want to help pool their resources, fiduciarily, or in terms of, networking and that sort of thing. I mean, that's essentially kind of what he put us in charge of.
Okay, so he's not adverse to the idea you guys being union.
We thought he would be at first, but
Most people, most owners.
right. That was our gut instinct. That was our initial reaction, is that he would be opposed to it. But the way I think what he's seeing is it's an opportunity for us to become more credible. Like if we say we're Leuna, then people know that and so he sees that.
And honestly, what I used to do, now I'm the director of organizing, but my old job was I was a marketing director for Leuna, and what I did is I went to talk to folks like you and say how we could partner. Okay, to go, we would help when we sign a contractor up. We actually go and try to get work for you. We'll do the regulatory process. We have our lobbyists, in Albany and Washington that lobby for different pieces of legislation. We have, we have resources that help companies. So we're more of a, kind of a hands-on partner more than just a union. A little different than, let's say, an SEIU or somebody like that who sometimes takes an adversarial role with the owners. We kind of go hand in hand with our owners and try
That's great.
to.
That's perfect because our owner is, basically finding a lot of opportunity and working with folks like yourselves. You said that, so you work with legislators, people in office.
Ron's an old legislator.
Yeah, I was 20 years.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what Anthony was telling me. 20 years. Wow.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Interesting time.
So
Yeah,
state,
I
local, any federal?
Yeah, I was in both the county, he's a county legislator now.
Actually, I'm a county
And
legislator.
then I went on to the state legislature.
See, that's the thing, is that we also want to work with legislators who might, kind of set things up so that there's, kind of gin up public interest or public awareness, as they like to say.
Just
about,
like it's,
about
but a lot
what
of,
we're doing,
right.
Yeah.
Sorry, a lot of people have like the same reaction that you guys are having though. It's like, you literally just take the dirt, dig a hole.
No, I've done that on jobs.
Oh, you have? Really? You've done that? Yeah.
No,
Okay.
but it could easily meld into something that, if you're going to turn the soil, maybe you want to toil it at the same time. You plant something or landscape.
They go in when any building was put up. And usually the universities do this. Is they'll send a team in there to dig and make sure that they don't hit any artifacts in there, like an old Indian village or something like that. They do that on every construction job.
Okay.
Make sure it's not a cemetery underneath there.
Exactly. and they do have running, especially where I live. Indian.
Right.
I live in a southern tier, and it's mostly old Indian villages, and so I could see that really applying to that. And they're probably there a month. Just digging each hole. They dig over here, dig over here. They go down 6 feet, see what they find, 8, 10, 12, whatever. But the whole thing is, we certainly, Tony's union is set up to do that, and I guess the thing is if it sounds like that, it almost is exactly the same as where we were with Green Jobs New York. It was an idea 3 years ago. Then we came out with a white paper. Okay. Then we started lobbying our legislators. Then we went to the governor's office. Then we had our folks doing that. Then we got it passed. Now we're trying to do contractor standards. We're trying to do different other things. It almost sounds like that in a way.
Right.
Were those endeavors pretty successful?
Well, yeah, it got passed. Green Jobs New York was passed maybe a year ago, a couple years ago now.
Yeah.
It's about 3 years.
NYSERDA is the administrator, and it takes money, and we had a ton of money went into training, training the folks, and now the money's just starting to trickle in to do the retrofits. So it sounds like we're at the same, almost the same point in time we were with that 2 years ago.
Right.
See, that's why it proves to be so, at least in our travels, and it seems like in yours, to have, kind of a network of people who are in office who can find something in what we're doing and kind of raise awareness in the public and say, hey, we need these guys to dig these, the right wingers are like, well, they're just digging ditches.
One thing about it, it's shovel ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we have the shovels, just kind of basically.
We're ready.
Tell us what to do with the shovels. Tell the public essentially why we need to do.
Well, you guys can expand, and it wouldn't cost any more money, really. Give them a purpose. Like we have an island off the mainland in New Rochelle. I showed you Davis Island. It used to be an old army base. It's 80 acres. It's a real island, about a third of a mile off the mainland. And the Army Corps of Engineers came in and knocked all the buildings down. And it's just sitting there doing nothing. The city wants to develop it. But at the same time, it was an Indian burial ground at one time. And John was talking about, going in, excavating for artifacts. Somebody like them, they come in there, you sample, digging all over the goddamn place, you find out what this is, what that is.
Right.
Army base.
Or you take
Really?
soil and you do samples to make sure it's not toxic. Like I said, what the hell, that doesn't cost anything, So you serve a purpose, and at the same time you continue your mission to create jobs.
Right.
But I think it gives you guys credibility if you try to expand on
our sectors. Yeah.
Well, sorry.
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we've actually been very encouraged the past few years. At least our friends at the company. I've only been with the company since '09, but it seems like things were very, because we've been around since the late '90s, and not really much has gone on. But nowadays, there's such an emphasis now on, and there's so much support in the administration for these kinds of projects. Ever since the president came into office, there's been this new emphasis on putting people back to work, on green jobs, on exploring opportunities and we've been very actually surprised and humbled by a lot of the, like what you're saying, there's credibility there's some credibility in what we're doing. We we're essentially not used to that. We were used to being ostracized, and well, what are we going to do with these guys? Well, we have the shovels.
You guys go
Give us
into
something to do.
areas where there's high unemployment, or?
That's what we'd like to do. I mean, essentially, we want to have.
Be
I mean,
anywhere.
Because I mean, yeah, they're planning on coming to New York.
Yeah, explain to
soon.
me the New Jersey to New York, that whole scenario.
You know, where you in Sparta Township?
Yeah, up kind of
Yeah.
Paramus, like up near like Mawa. I don't really know too much about the inner workings up above, but I don't know. Fred, do you know? Can you expand
Well,
more?
I mean, how do you, now, is the same rules, like, obviously you're getting grants, these gotta have federal grants if you're gonna switch states.
yeah.
Right.
Does it matter that the federal, that you are in Jersey now and you're going into New York, would that affect the federal grant at all?
I don't
See,
think so.
that's kind of.
But I'm sure we can get back to you, talk to some more people, and in future meetings when we take more steps.
Well,
It
that's the
probably
thing,
wouldn't
is that-
affect the federal
I don't
grant.
think so.
Mhm.
Because it's federal, you know?
Well, that's what I'm hoping, that's why, but you probably have New Jersey, just New
Any
Jersey
state
state
by
grants?
state grant would affect.
It would affect, the state by state, yeah.
We think now is kind of the time to get in with regard to obtaining federal funds. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in November, but we do know we have a lot of friends right now in Washington who, can somehow gin up support for what we do and say, hey, these guys need capital.
Get the money
and
now.
This is why. And here's a new ordinance, or here's a new piece of legislation that basically is kind of saying it gives us
Right.
purpose.
Right.
Are you guys expending monies now? They have people working on different projects?
Yep, yeah, we've got
You got
guys.
Fund balance, you got enough money?
Yeah, but I think that's what guys I've been talking to are worried about, because to them, they see no real market demand for the jobs that we're doing, and they're worried that these are just going to dry up. These
We're
aren't,
not
there's,
solvent enough to expand as much to basically meet our ambitions.
What's your membership now? What?
We have about 100,
100, yeah.
about 100.
Yeah.
Well, as of last week, yeah, about 100.
Are they all working right now? Half of them?
Or,
at least half, yeah.
Yeah.
And most guys are open to unionizing too, so.
Do you have
I mean-
any kind of training, or what do you do now? Just hire them on the job?
I mean, how do you know who, like, if you gotta dig a hole, who runs the backhoe and who has a shovel? How do you determine
Well,
that?
there's two different, they're basically our workforce is separated into two types. You basically do the digging, and then there's usually another person who does the, the refilling. So, essentially, there's that. And, we want to find kind of, the more purposes we find to serve, the more, people in office are like, oh,
Yeah.
here's something,
That's why I'm asking these questions.
Right.
the more we'll be like, okay, guys, and that's why we want to work with labor guys like you. It's because it's like,
You guys have been around, you guys know what to
Now,
do.
when you're on a project now, and you're digging, is it an existing job site or is it pre-job site?
No,
some are, some of it's.
It's not
some
really
of
even
it's
a
public.
job site,
Not
is
a
it?
job
It's not
It's
a
not-
job site.
You just pick sites.
Yeah,
just
we
pick
just get
sites.
we just
Like,
get
there's
sent
some
to
dirt.
sites.
How do you
Yeah.
get the
over there.
sites? You go to the municipalities or mayors?
Who
or-
owns the sites that you're digging on?
Yeah.
They're public.
Private?
Yeah, public.
Well,
Like
Sometimes
right now.
private, and sometimes there's like, we talk to the property owner and say, hey, we notice you have a lot of dirt, essentially. Can we dig it up and, put it back, But essentially it's about the work, it's about the workers, it's about, one of the reasons why we want to expand, we're actually very optimistic about expanding into New York, is because a lot of the people who hold certain offices, both at state as well as local levels, have expressed interest in what we're doing. And basically what we want them to do is help us secure public funds, basically essentially more capital, and basically say, hey, we need a new law essentially that says, so-and-so, therefore we need to dig a hole, you know what I mean? And then fill it.
How much equipment do you guys have?
Well,
Not a lot of heavy machinery. No.
So there's certain guys that run the machinery, and the other guys that
You got a
just
front
dig it.
loader, backhoe?
Yeah, they gotta have a machine.
Right. I mean, but it's
basically it's very
mostly
basic.
manual.
It's manual.
Yeah.
Well,
it's very basic what we do. The
Shovel
more
picking's the
Pick and
hardest.
shovel.
We just take the shovel. I know it sounds ridiculous.
How deep do you guys go?
About 10 feet usually. Yeah.
You gotta have a pick.
Yeah.
We could organize a
6 to
cemetery.
10. Yeah.
We did that, my father did that.
I know, so, but,
He had the grave diggers.
so nobody, no union or anything ever approached you, you never talked to any other union?
Who do we talk to? We talked to SEIU a little bit, but they didn't want anything
That's not their
to
line.
do with us.
really.
Yeah, they said they're more, healthcare,
They're into
custodial
healthcare, things like
services. So, yeah.
But that kind of, we felt that, first of all, we were a little, I know it's ironic that our owner actually wants to unionize. We want to unionize. We want to, because we want the
help with-
support
help
of
with the
unions
funding.
who will help us
Yeah, he
find
wants
that
help with the
money.
funding.
Right, because I think he has the same thoughts in the back of his mind.
Absolutely.
These jobs.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
thinking what you guys are thinking,
Yeah, I
and
gotta find some-
Well, he's got to find a purpose.
Right.
I
gotta find a
it's
reason.
commendable what you're doing, but I do believe you got to have a purpose. It's going to be very hard to sell to a lot of legislators.
Or
Right.
create purpose.
But even if you guys went in, you leveled off a piece of property, you want to make a park out of this, where you got a mountain, you want to level it down, you could sell the dirt.
It's like a public works project.
There's 1,000 things.
At
you
the
Or
can
same
do.
even,
time.
or even if there isn't really a purpose, the fact is we have people working.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, well, that's
and-
great.
And there's
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 no
money.
question.
That's like
And
a
the-
public works
But
project.
Right.
you
and the-
enhance it, you
Right.
increase your chances, because now you're performing a service that they would have to pay to
Right.
get done, which is good.
Or if we have legislators basically saying to the people, something about some environmental need, or
Well, that's what I'm thinking about remediation, If you did test borings, you dig ditches around, you find toxic material, or
Right.
you certify it clean, John, I'm trying to but, okay, so you guys have enough of a fund balance now. If you were to sign up, you can survive for 6 months, a year, or?
That's part of the reason we're talking to
mean-
you guys, is because we basically need more money, essentially, and we need people to help us find more money, both in the unions and also in,
Private and public, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Does your administration in the business have grants writers and people that solicit, they know where to go
Yeah.
and so on, so they need support letters and that kind of stuff?
yeah.
I just
we
thought
need
Leona
more,
would be,
more connections, more contacts, more networking, more. But essentially, at the same time, you really have to dress up what we do, because all we do is
Yeah.
dig holes
Well, that's
and
what
put,
we're talking about.
and there's
Yeah.
got to be. We just need excuses to do that,
Yeah.
A
essentially,
reason
and
why,
get money for it.
justification for it.
Yeah.
What kind of
I mean,
members do you have?
we're both-
Basically young people like yourself,
Well, we have a few
minorities, what?
Yeah, it's a very culturally diverse.
we
Yeah.
have a few older people, but we're having a lot of younger people. But we have a lot.
What do you mean
I'd say
by
about
older?
75% is 18 to 35.
Yeah,
I'd say.
young
and
guys.
then-
Yeah, young guys.
Yeah, that's a young man's game.
I mean,
But
yeah, and
we're wanting to get younger people and that sort of thing.
that's
But
why
we feel this is a friendly territory. To
Jersey
also,
was,
we want to put New Yorkers to work too.
Jersey wasn't
Yeah, it was-
that good to you?
No, Christie was,
Yeah.
from what I've heard, I didn't deal directly, of course, but
It's just been kind of a tough time. It's been a more promising time nationally with the administration we have right now, on the federal level. But at the state level, we have a very hostile governor. Very
so
hostile.
I think I remember
Money.
Anthony,
Money's-
yeah.
Hostile to a
Money's
lot
tight.
of people.
There's not really much. We have some friends in the legislature, but for the most part, just Christie's.
I know you were mentioning that, the New York legislature, they've been pretty,
Yeah, legislature, even the Republicans are not anti-labor a lot.
Right,
I mean, there's
right.
some very good supportive, like my Mr. Maltese I was
Yeah, he
talking
was our
about.
best friend.
He was very good, in that.
Republican from
The
Staten Island.
problem today is the money, because things are tight, when things are flush.
Well, how friendly are you guys with Bloomberg?
Yeah, I know.
We're okay with Bloomberg.
I know. He may
They endorsed them, right, the building trades?
Yeah.
It's funny. I love what he did with the soda pop thing. I actually like
yeah.
that because we have these workers, right, who are drinking we see them on the job sometimes drinking 32 ounces of Pepsi Cola,
They know what
and
they'll do now, they'll do 216.
and
They'll bring a
it
six-pack.
stifles
Yeah, six-pack.
progress. It's that's that kind of stuff doesn't kind of wears you down and reduces reduces output. Not that we really have any
You're giving people
output.
exercise, so they're working off the calories.
I went from 6 to none. I was drinking 6 Pepsis a day. Now I drink water.
It's an education, you know.
Well, how much an hour? do you
Bloomberg's
guys
policies are.
I make 14 an hour.
make? I mean, average, like everybody, like between.
Probably
what,
around
what?
15.
Yeah, around there somewhere,
All right,
15.
so let's say $15 an hour.
But we want to also be able to, you know,
See, here's the thing, is like if we went union and we go in and we talk to the owner, you know, it would be crazy to all of a sudden, you know, go to the guy and say, look, we want everybody to make $25 an hour, and then all of a sudden you're out of business next week. That would
Right.
make sense to you guys or us or the owner. And so, I mean, it would be something reasonable. We would, this is how it usually works. He signed a contract, if he was for signing a contract, he had no problem with it, and we would go in, we'd pick maybe 2 or 3 guys, and they would come be a negotiation team, along with Tony would go in and meet with the owner, and this, you know, in a friendly way, and kind of come up with maybe a pay scale and some, or benefits, depending on what they can afford, what he can afford, what you guys want. Then, you know, usually if it's an unfriendly type of organizing campaign, what we do is we go in and have all the workers sign cards, then we go to the NLRB and have an election. It sounds like this owner, that Pedro, might be willing to not negotiate instead of going to an election.
Right. And Anthony was telling me earlier he thinks it would be easier to go top down.
I think it is. I think you
Always
guys,
is,
you guys
yeah.
yourselves know the owner, obviously. And the whole thing wants to be amiable. You don't want to be adversarial, because everybody's in a situation with money. Obviously, he's looking to get more money for grants, and the more money he gets, the more guys are going to be, you guys are
yeah,
going to
and
work.
also, you know, I mean, the more workers we get, the more money
Absolutely.
you guys get. So it's
Absolutely.
like, that's why we think this is kind of a win-win,
Win-win, yeah.
you know,
So just
partnership.
talking, you guys, I mean, what, you get about $15 an hour. I think you have other, like a 401k plan, does he offer that?
Do you have any kind of
He
benefits?
does, yeah, health.
medical?
We get,
He
yeah,
does
health.
offer that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he doesn't have
Well,
offer
that's
medical
pretty
too?
reasonable.
Yeah,
That's not,
yeah.
that's not.
What kind of medical plan, what does he do for you?
I think I'm young. I haven't really needed
Yeah, well,
it yet.
that's another thing.
Yeah,
You're not, you know, thank God you don't
yeah.
go to doctors.
yeah,
The older they get, the higher.
yeah, right.
So you got that, you know, so he does offer something, and that, you know, that, maybe the best way to do it, if it gets to that point, I'm getting way ahead of myself, is if you did get into those type of talk with him, is you would negotiate basically an in-place contract, something almost identical to what he has, maybe a little bit different, you know, for the guys, something that might be a little bit more of a benefit. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean-
few more something per hour or something or whatever, and that would pick up on any dues that had to be paid. We go to the international and talk to them and see what we can get in the lowest amount, you know, to help you guys, and maybe that would start the ball rolling as far as getting a structure.
Okay.
Well, but they have to understand that, the fellows would have to understand that, like John said, it's not gonna be overnight, you're not gonna wind up getting $50 an hour.
Well, also, I mean, I think that we're wanting essentially to have, for instance, seek new healthcare programs. For instance, in Wisconsin, you know, we had some friends in Wisconsin, the teachers' unions. One of the things that Walker guy did was the teachers' unions had a certain healthcare provider that they were friendly with, and yes, it was more costly, whatever, but that justified the unions, you know, getting more money. And now, basically, essentially, the way it is with the legislation that I guess Walker passed, is that now districts can kind of do their own shopping. We don't really want, and therefore, and they broke the ties with the certain healthcare for the union was friendly with. So, and that's less justification for the unions to get more money. So we're kind of, and the less justification there is for that, you know, the less money we're entitled to ask for, you know. So we actually would like a more expensive, not only for better, you know, care for our workers, but also, you know, it kind of justifies asking for more money.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm kind of familiar with nonprofits. I've sat on some of the boards, and I work with some of them. And the problem with a nonprofit is they only have the funding they have is grants. So, you know, I mean, you know, that's one of the restrictions. You know, like in a regular I see the biggest, or not problem, but one of the biggest challenges, I guess, would be is we have to go out and we have to increase the pool of money coming into this, and that's where we that's where a grant writer comes into place, and which is definitely doable, and I think we can tie into the Green Jobs, Green New York, and all these other stuff, and I'm not familiar with the grants he gets now, but we might be able to help with that at some level. I think it boils down to is the owner, and which, I mean, would he just negotiate, or would he like to go to like a card check neutrality type thing, where if we went and got 50 cards signed, then all of a sudden he would automatically recognize the union?
Well, do you think it's wise? I mean, I think the next step would be to talk to the owner.
Absolutely.
Okay, us.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'd have a meeting with him and see what his feelings are, and what he wants to do, and what he, if he's
The vibe we get is
sample
that
contracts like you.
yeah, if he's amenable toward this whole scenario.
the guy, yeah, he's totally amiable.
All right.
I mean, that's the thing. He's not your usual kind of. I mean, he sees. He's
a reasonable guy.
He knows we're meeting with you guys. He sees dollar signs. He's
Yeah.
like, hey, these are guys who we can team up with. We can help make them money with
Right.
more workers, more dues, and we can get more money if this can be kind of a like we were talking about a win-win partnership. You guys can kind of introduce us to your legislative contacts, whomever, who can essentially help us come up with excuses to dig more holes.
Well,
Does that sound?
we have training centers
Yeah.
that would probably be able to be accessed for them, 17 and everything else. I don't know how sophisticated
One on
your
Long Island.
workers are. I mean, I don't know what they're taught. How much.
What kind of
they-
I mean, they've got a lot of practice. I mean, we've got.
Well, that's another thing is that
We offer OSHA, we offer
Safety and
trench,
everything else.
open trench. We offer confined space, all the OSHA 5 or the OSHA 50, OSHA 40, the asbestos and hazardous and lead, all that kind of awareness, all those courses we do.
Okay.
And obviously we would come in and we could train like 25 people at a time or 20 people at a time, maybe at an 8-hour course or something like that. And that's something definitely that would help out the owner. Because then he could say, when he goes to get these grants, my workforce has this.
Right,
right. And so we're
Yeah.
not just, we're training
Yeah,
people.
that's a seller.
And I think everything looks good when you're going for federal grants. Every little thing you can put on there, I think justifies a little bit more, but we could certainly do that. So I guess the next step is to talk to the owner, see what he would like, if we could maybe, at least you, Tony, sit down and talk with him.
Yeah, why don't you, I think it'll be, you come with me and we'll talk to him.
Okay.
John's very well versed on all that other stuff with the grants and everything. And
do you have people in mind also who kind of could be office holders, political office holders in New York who can kind of help us find those basically excuses to get public funds?
What we do is we have three lobbying firms. We have, in the city, we have Tom McMahon, who his brother used to be a congressman in Staten Island. We have upstate, we have one for the Democrats, we have Tom Meyer, who works for Meyer Schwazi. He used to be the Commissioner of Labor, I believe.
Right.
And so we have them for the Democrats. He usually takes care of the Assembly. On the Senate side, we have Powers and Company, who used to be the Republican chairman of New York State. So he takes care of the Senate, and that's controlled by the Republicans. So that's what we when we go for a bill, you got to get approval of the Senate and the Assembly, and then the governor's got to sign it. Well, we have a lobbyist for the Republicans, we have a lobbyist for the Democrats, and that's how we try to push our agenda through. And but those are our three lobbying firms, and they would certainly, they talk to all the legislators, like Ron used to be. They would call, they would probably touch base with him once a month and say, hey, look, we got this coming up. And as a signatory contractor, you guys would be, able to access that. You give us an agenda, we bring it to our lobbyists. Look, this is what we want. This is what we got to do, and then we start pushing for it. I think another thing is like with the Green Jobs, Green New York, it's a little like cold. You got to get you know, you got to get more than the laborers, to be honest with you, or more than
Yeah.
just your company. So we tap into people like Citizens for Democratic, you know, Citizens Action, Foundation for Working Families, those types of groups that are pretty much, you know, believe in, you know, the kind of things we do, work programs and things like that. So you go, like for Green Jobs, Green New York, we needed a huge lobby, because you could just say, go to the, you know, the assembly and say, you know, geez, the laborers want this. But when you go with about a group of 15 or 20 folks and say, look, at this is a wide, you know, wide support among the community, it works a lot better. And you guys would have that access that we have, and kind of our reputation and our, you know, doing that, and by being with LIUNA. And I think, you know, when Green Jobs, Green New York came to us, they said, look, we need your politicals, because, you know, it was basically the Foundation for Working Families, and they said, but we need you guys up in Albany, we need you guys pushing the agenda. We're seeing more of the kind of more socially, I guess, maybe a little more conservative and more, you know, construction, more, I guess, kind of broader sense of people we can reach out to. And so, and like I said, the bigger the coalition you build, the bigger the voice you got.
Right.
So.
Okay.
I mean, that's why we also want to talk to a lot of green lobbies, is because they can kind of come up with stuff for.
See, we already got the folks
Yeah,
in
I mean, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and the good thing about it is with the Green Jobs is we went and hired, like, you know, Amaya, that we hired that did this. We hired the folks from the Foundation for Working Families. We put them on full time. And what they were is basically, you know, pretty much lobbyists within themselves for different issues. And we could have those people working on that immediately. Just add this right to their agenda, you know, besides Green Jobs, Green New York. And so, I mean, we do have that capacity too.
Pedro, like I said, is a pretty reasonable guy. He's open-minded. And I know you were saying earlier that it would be, our company would be more appetizing, more appealing for the senators, for the legislatures, if we could show that there was some sort of service being done, whether that be searching for artifacts and fossils, or searching remediation, decontaminating.
To evolve into.
Right. I'm just wondering if Pedro says, you know, we're not really interested in going that route. We kind of just want to still do things. We like to go to the sites, dig the holes and refill them. Would that, I mean...
Nope, you guys, this is one weird thing we don't do. We don't tell the company owners how to run their company.
Okay.
Whatever he wants to do, we'll help him. You know, if that means digging ditches, we'll go try to push that. If that means going over to do our archaeological things, we'll do that. If it means just digging ditches,
Okay, if it means
we'll do that.
just digging ditches and filling them back
Not
up.
gonna be any interference like that.
Because it really don't matter to us.
No,
you guys don't
as long as the guys are working.
All right, yeah.
And you guys don't mind, like, helping, you know, even if we don't get the support of, you know, even if the green lobbies are like, well, you know, I'm sorry, we can't, you know, come up with enough.
If you're with us, they won't do that.
No, they don't.
They
Why
won't
is that?
buck us, because they won't buck us on the...
We represent them too.
We're doing the Green Jobs, Green New York, where we're a coalition. Look, pop it up on the computer, and
So
it'll tell you
even
what...
if there's like sites that we have, or sites we want to expand into, where there's not really an environmental benefit, we can still
We're
they'll
gonna-
just say like, well,
It's you know what they'll say is, it's a jobs program for the laborers. And they
so
won't buck you.
even if there's nothing like nothing like environmentally benefit.
Like if you went in and said we were gonna do the fracking, then you'd have about 1,000 people. Then they'd be over here with guns. But other than that, no, that's...
Well, you could easily say, besides what you do, it's a training program.
Yeah,
I mean, teaching people how to...
Teaching
operate
people how to
heavy
operate,
equipment,
yep.
How to be safe when you're
in the workforce,
excavating
yep.
or whatever, you know, so that can't hurt you. But,
And and you guys are really cool with that, like helping us find public funds, even if it's just what we do is just, hey, there's some dirt to dig and put
hey,
it back in the hole.
people are willing to give you
Yeah,
money.
they're willing to give you the money, that's fine.
We're doing that, you know, the Green Jobs, Green New York, between us, a lot of it's bullshit. You know, a lot of that's going for stuff that
Yeah.
Oh, really?
we're
Like
talking about. you know.
what? Yeah, like...
You know, but some of it's good.
Uh-huh.
Some of it is actually, we send guys, you know, and they learn how to do
Yeah,
retrofits.
sure.
And then this other shit is just way out there, and
But, you know, they give, I mean, NYSERDA, that's what they do, is they give these grants, and that's what, you know, it's kind of a full-time job just to go after the grants that people offer. And I think the most important thing, I think, and what we got to stress is it's a jobs bill.
Yeah.
Right now, it's all about jobs. Whether you're Mitt Romney or you're Barack Obama, it's all about jobs, the economy, and getting people to work. So at least we're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if it's, like you said, bullshit, you know, there's people willing to subsidize bullshit. You know?
Well, I mean, I think the key thing is, even if it's bullshit, I think as long as people are working, that's not bullshit. You know what I mean? Then you're doing a service.
Right.
If there are people working, there are people paying taxes, there are people buying goods, there are, you know what I mean, that are doing the right thing.
Spins
by
the wheel.
working.
Right.
You know what
Spins
I
the
mean?
wheel, you know, people get that money, they go out, they spend. Yeah.
I
So
think
you're doing right by an economy. And, you know, even in a community where you can sell that, like, you know, I always say, look, if anything that brings work into a community is a plus, because the more people you got working, the more people you got paying taxes, the more people you got buying McDonald's.
Yeah, that's always the attitude. Yeah, that seems to be the attitude around our supply and renewal. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah,
I mean, that's, and that's a win-win for everybody. Everybody understands that part of it. You know, they might understand, well, we're digging a ditch, what the hell are you doing that for? Well, you know, you can explain it 2 or 3 different ways, but when you say, look, we have, you know, 50 jobs over here, you know, and those folks are going to be doing this, they're going to be buying this, they're going to be doing that, then they kind of get it. Then they understand. Well,
I mean, is there anything you mentioned that, was it Green Coalition New York, Greens?
Green
What was that?
Jobs Green
Okay.
New York.
Is there anyone doing something similar to what we're doing? Like you said, some of it's
haven't-
BS.
haven't.
Yeah, okay.
the archaeological thing is
Okay.
very similar, and I've heard, I don't even know
Okay.
who does that anymore. It used to be like, they would like hire like a SUNY Binghamton, and they would send over one archaeologist and like 10 students to dig. And that's the only thing I know that, and what they would do is they would sift through them just to see if there's arrowheads and shit like that. Or
Especially on Indian territory.
That's pretty easy for you guys to do if you ever got
Right.
that's kind of, it's kind of, I think I
That'd be fun. That'd be a little change of pace than just.
Well, you know,
we feel-
it wouldn't really
Cool.
change
Yeah,
anything
I bet.
that you do.
Yeah.
You just train somebody to
You sift through, what you do is you dig, you sift it through, see what you find. You'd have an archaeologist from one of the colleges around here, and he'd look at the shit and say, whoa, that's 1200 AD, and,
You might find Jimmy Hoffa.
9 out of 10 times you don't find anything.
That's what they do in Italy.
That's a good thing, because then they can build. When you start finding things, that's,
In Rome, when they started to excavate for highways and shit, and they came across Nero's castle. And all of a sudden,
But
everyone
that burned.
stopped. And now they worked for 10 years excavating and exposing Nero's castle.
Get his
And that
film.
created jobs up the gazoo, and they had to, the highway had to go around all this stuff. So, you know, there's always a way to make it work.
So you guys, I think I speak for both of us when we feel, you know, a lot less inhibited talking to you guys. You guys seem to get it, you know, even though, because we've spoken to a lot of people who've taken criticism, who've said you guys are just looking for money, and you know, and excuses to keep doing what you're doing, which is pointless, which kind of true, but there's like you're saying, it's kind of encouraging to know that there are, like you were saying, there's examples of just bullshit things that we can.
well, here's the thing
reasons
is, we are the laborers union. We dig ditches.
Yeah.
That's not, I mean, from our standpoint, any type of work is dignified.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our folks do probably the stuff that people don't want to do. You know, we dig ditches, we dig water lines, we dig for that stuff. We manually do that. We do it. We pick and shovel is our work. That's what we do. And our whole essence is basically digging in a day's work. And so I mean, you know, whether it has, you know, you're going to build, you know, the White House, or you're going to, you know, you're going to have 50 jobs. It don't matter to us. There's dignity in every day's work, and that's kind of where we were the kind of always the cast-off union. You know, we weren't the you know, maybe the operating engineers who drove all this big equipment. We were the unskilled guys, but we're one of the biggest unions because there's an awful lot of those folks out there, and you know, so I mean, as long as you know, there's respect in a day's work, and I think from that standpoint, that's what you guys do. What we do. That's what we do. We just happen to be working for a construction company when we're doing it, that's all.
When you do these grants, the fellows you have writing them up, you know, in the past, like Ronnie said, what do they put in there outside of this? They must fluff it up, so to speak, as to promote it, So they get the grants from the state or the feds.
Have you ever written?
I mean, I don't know.
I haven't. I don't.
We don't personally do.
Yeah, I'm-
right.
No, the fellows that do
I'm
that,
sorry,
they
yeah.
do it. I mean, they probably have in their purpose or whatever, you know?
I mean, yeah, I mean, the guy we have, one of the two guys, well, we have, now we have two, but the guy I know personally who does a lot of the grant writing, I mean, he does kind of, I mean, there's a lot of keywords that are used, like, you know, land, soil,
Right.
and even if it doesn't mean
Excavation.
anything, it just sounds
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and there's
Puts it together.
politicians, you know, who are like, ooh, those are the right, you're speaking the right language. I don't know what it means, but, you know, here's
A lot of the big selling points too is that, you know, I think Pedro takes a lot of pride in keeping a culturally diverse workforce, and they like that
It'd
too.
have to be that.
Yeah.
We would have to,
Yeah.
that's
Are
something we
they
do too.
strictly Jersey? Are they anyplace else in other parts of the country?
I know we did some work down in Virginia for a little while, but
Why did he go to Virginia? I mean, why would he go to Virginia if you could just simply do that in Jersey as in Virginia?
that was a while ago
That was
before
like
I was just
before-
wondering.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
I started.
But no, for the most part, it's
We've
just been.
stuck in Jersey, and
Yeah.
it sucks. With you know, with Christie, we're not getting
Because
much
you're not
love from
getting the
Christie.
money.
We're not getting the money,
Right.
and you know,
You still get the
Christie's
fed- you
folks
got
are
the
like,
federal
well, what do you-
grant.
Yeah.
How much do you guys work a year?
Actually, it's been pretty like seasonal because we couldn't really get out there in the cold of the winter.
It
We
depends
just
upon the amount of sites
6
that
months a
we're
year?
yeah.
Yeah.
7? That's about what we
Mhm.
work. And our, you know, when the ground's frozen, obviously. we're not
right.
doing
We
much.
couldn't do much,
We
but I
have
mean,
scouts who kind of look around Jersey just for places that have dirt.
but we had.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a warm winter that we could get going pretty quickly.
Yeah, when it
But
was
we want to get. Oh, go ahead.
Where,
sir.
no, where do you want to move to?
I mean, we want to expand all over the tri-state
No,
area.
and when his office, he's gonna change his office to New York, right?
Mhm.
New York City?
I believe so. So I think the next step would be talk to Pedro.
What's his last name?
Okay. Santino.
Santino.
Oh, okay.
S-A-T-I-N-O.
I think that's it. Yeah.
S-A-T-I-N-O.
All right.
He's a really,
That's how you spell
he's a
it. Yeah,
really
I think.
friendly guy.
S-A-N-T
Yeah,
or
that's
S-A-T?
He's not.
Lay it out.
S-A-N-T,
Tell him the
I
truth.
believe. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I mean, we're not going to beat the guy up. We're not going to drive him out of business. We're going to help him all we can. You know, we're going to work together with him, just like we do our contractors.
Okay,
I
great.
mean, it doesn't make sense to go out and when we screw our contractor, we're screwing ourselves, because if the guy ain't getting any work, we're out of business. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, that's the business we're in.
And, you know, we basically need friends in New York who can, you know, speak the language of green or, you
I
know,
mean, we can go to
whatever.
Shelley
Well,
Silver
we got plenty
anytime.
of those people.
What's her name?
We can go to Shelley
He's the
Silver
speaker to
anytime.
yourself.
You know
Shelley
Shelley
There's
Silver.
Okay.
plenty of people in
They
the
always bitch about him on
assembly,
the news.
that are environmentalists that would be, you know, more than agreeable to try to help.
Well, they're in New York City.
And they can help you guys to become more sophisticated, like I said,
Yeah.
just by enhancing your purpose.
Want to expand because we feel, frankly, you know, with this relationship, the more workers there are, the more revenue there is, and the more money we can make together. We really want to expand, as you know, spread our tentacles as much as possible. Or do you feel like Shelley Silver? I mean, even if we expand to sites where there's zero purpose for what we're doing, I mean, does he need to know that, or would he be okay knowing, like he would, even if it's...
He's not on that level. He would say, you know, he would.
I wouldn't
write
even,
these
I would
Yeah,
just,
you don't even.
I would
need
just
that.
put in what you want,
just
try to
write-
get a
you write-
grant,
you
and then
write,
after
yeah,
that,
right.
you
You
do what you
write
have
your
to do.
purpose down, whatever, and then, you know,
And then we'd
there's
say,
jobs
like, this is one of our bills. And then we would write a letter to each, you know.
Jobs
person,
bill.
And this is what we
Yeah.
need. and
Okay.
What we need your support on, and we would get one of our people to support it in the legislature. They'd bring it forward.
And that wouldn't kind of, I mean, there wouldn't be people like
Sure.
looking,
I
going...
mean, it seems like you guys know
Maybe.
what to do.
Well,
I
there
think
would be,
Fred
but,
knows,
you know, as
but
long as you get the votes.
We could always.
Be a
attach it to
laborer's
something.
jobs bill, basically.
You know what we could do too is, like, if there's a bill coming out where they're going to build XYZ hospital, we could attach that to that bill. So when you build a hospital, that money's going to that, and that's going to that.
Yeah, you
We do
might
that all
be
the
able to.
time. We know we put an attachment onto something.
Can you,
Okay.
yeah,
He
you can
he
kinda-
knows, because he was in the assembly for 20 years.
So you can kind of do that. Say like, hey, I mean, you know, the bigger the lot of dirt, the more workers, and then that we can assign to that lot, and even if there's no reason to do it, can we
Once you
find,
get, once you get the
add
money,
things?
once you get the money, then you can do what you want as far as that. They wouldn't question that. The key is to get the funding.
Yeah.
Is the grant cover, does payroll get paid per person?
How does you?
I've not really asked.
Okay.
I've not really asked.
Yeah.
It's none of my business
I
really,
think
but...
when you write the grant, you put down the potential number of employees, and that
You
means
do
something.
usually, but I think sometimes on payout, like in a construction job, say you're building a bridge, you start with the footers, right? You just build up, you get like 20%. Some grants,
Well,
they'll pay you per
they
person.
curtail the administration, I think, percentage of the grant money
Right.
for administration and so on, because we used to work on a grant when I was doing construction industry program in Westchester.
Yeah, and usually they'll do like, the thing with this, they'll usually pay you on percentage of job done, and not necessarily...
Yeah, they do that
So I just
too.
wonder if they did on bodies.
Well, you usually requisition based on how many people you have working,
Right.
and they'll pay out. But
Right,
the
right.
grant would be a certain finite number,
Yeah, not
Okay.
exceed.
right?
Yeah.
Most of the holes we dig are about the size of this table, so it usually requires a team of, what would you say, about how many?
I mean, per site, there's about 10 to 20 guys on site.
Yeah, but if we can have, find huge lots and say, and somehow, pass some legislation that says we need to build a big hole in that lot, the bigger the lot, the more, per head, the more heads, the more workers we can get, so we want to find big lots to
Oh, we
dig
got a lot of
huge
big lots
holes in.
upstate.
Yeah.
You could be digging till
then
2090.
I'm thinking of fill too. If you get clean fill, there's places where they depot and they'll buy the damn fill from you. If you would, excavate it.
I mean, if you ever...
Yeah, what if they got to like a lot like that, and it was the guy wanted to move some dirt around, or
That's what I'm saying.
they could do that.
That's what I'm saying.
At the same time while they're doing their project.
Well, that's
Well,
what I'm
even if
saying.
it's a
That's what
private
makes
property owner who's like, we
Well, that's what I
say,
mean.
we give them some money on the back end or whatever, and we want to build a big hole and
No,
fill
but
it for
the
you.
guy might say, look, I need this dirt moved over here or
Right,
something.
right.
And while you're doing what you gotta do, you're doing something
Two jobs,
to help
yeah.
him, and
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah.
In municipalities like that
Right.
too.
Even a private guy might pay him
Look
some
at-
money.
On that piece of property I was talking to you earlier about the island that we have, there's another piece right next to it called Five Islands Park. And about 20 years ago, somebody buried Agent Orange in the middle of that island. And they never found it. And we had
Wait, I heard about that, actually.
Well,
Wait, where was that again?
This is Five Islands
New
Park in
Rochelle.
New Rochelle, New York.
I saw a documentary, actually, about that.
Well, it
They
could
had,
be, but I was involved in it, but I got DEC to come down and do testings all on the island, but they only went down about 18 inches. And I know that this stuff was buried down about 15 feet. And if you wanted to go and dig up and do something good, you find this crap, we could remediate it, but that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking, it's right in line with what you do.
Ron's thinking is maybe there's some agencies that require, in the state, they require some type of digging or remediation of some sort, and maybe you could sub out from those,
Yeah, DEC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, a lot of them.
We could talk to the commissioner.
Department of State,
We'll
a lot
talk
of
to the
different
commissioner and we'll
things.
find out exactly, if there's a service there, you guys might maybe do it.
could you, are you kind of close enough to people like Silver that you could say, hey, we can, we want to dig a big hole here.
Well,
We
John
need
said
excuse
he's-
to do it.
He's receptive.
well, I mean, the legislation,
You can try and push for something.
I don't know specifically, like Shelley Silver wouldn't say specifically, build a dirt, he would approve a grant to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Then we'd have to go out and find places where to dig. But he doesn't want to get involved and pick it, that's where they get in trouble.
He's not gonna get
Oh,
involved.
okay, so
Like a
we don't need to get that.
specific-
You just wanna get the money.
No.
Yeah.
Then you figure out
Yeah,
afterwards.
we can figure out the other stuff, once the money, I mean, there's, look at the state.
And
There's
the more sophisticated you become, the more purposeful you can show yourself and your mission, the easier it is to get the money. Put it that way, okay?
I mean, it is
All right.
pretty miraculous that we have gotten some grants just to dig holes and
So you get
fill
nothing
them.
out of Jersey? Jersey dried up completely?
Not completely. but at the same time, we have big. The very fact, we actually are we take comfort in the fact that people have gotten us public funds to dig holes that had no benefit to anything, that just had people work, just had our workers working, just got us kind of grants.
Well, you're like the WPA.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the 1930s.
What, how so?
Well, Roosevelt did that.
Right.
They dug the roads up, put them back.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Well, they got us out of the Great Depression. Yeah.
Temporarily, it was a good thing. But I mean, you know, there's benefit to what you do. Like I said, you go into a private lot, and you're doing what you want to do, but the guys, look, I gotta move this dirt over here, I gotta move this out of here, I gotta load up the trucks. You could be doing that at the same time while you're doing your thing.
Or if they're owners who don't really need, but maybe we can pay them on the back end to basically get it, pay him to have us work for him.
Well,
at
actually,
least
when
we're-
you're digging stuff, it could be purpose. I mean, if you go to an owner, there's probably things he's want dig for some reason or another.
Yeah,
We
Move
can
the
make
dirt
it-
around, I want
Yeah,
to
move the dirt,
move
sure.
the dirt over here, I gotta build a,
You know, he might be putting a,
a retaining wall.
anything in that you
He
might want
might
to
even
dug
pay Pedro for that service. Well, you guys are getting paid for
Paid for
Pedro, and it
his state,
creates
yeah.
more money for
Yeah,
him and
yeah.
the company.
One of the things I
If you-
know
yeah, you can
may
do
be a
that, right?
concern, you come on the site, they're gonna ask for liability insurances and all that stuff, in case somebody gets hurt.
Well, I guess he has-
They're on
they
my
have
site, so I assume you guys
They must have that.
run into that, or you have that already.
You're covered by workers' comp. all that
Right,
stuff.
right, right.
Yeah.
It is
That's,
workers' comp in New
that's
York.
all important stuff.
Well, also the better benefits that we can guarantee, then the more excuse there is for us to ask for more financing.
He must have got a hell of a grant if he's paying like 401k and
Yeah.
healthcare.
Yeah, he's paying all of that.
Did he
Yeah,
get millions
but
of dollars in
he's-
grants?
Well, I don't think it's,
I don't know that it's sustainable.
I don't know about the 401k, but I know about,
Oh, we can deal with that. We can
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah, but he has a little medical benefit.
Yeah.
That costs something.
right,
You got a
right,
lot of guys here.
yeah.
You know, I don't know what you guys are paying out of that and what he's paying. But I mean, you know, it's something.
Right.
Do Silver and other friends you might have in the legislature? So they basically you can just go to them and say, hey, we need you to just write a bill that
No,
sanctions what
we would
that-
write the bill. We
Oh,
would
you
would?
guys
for it.
would.
Okay.
No, we need you to push a bill. We'll write
Yes.
it, and then you can put stuff in the bill that basically
What
gives
it
us
is we-
some reason to.
We would have like one of our legislators bring forth the bill.
Mm-hmm.
Then we would call Shelley Silver and say, we need your support on this. So if you get his support on it, you get the Assembly's support on it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? He's the Speaker of the House.
Mhm.
So, you know,
Senate,
nobody
Stelos
bucks
in
him.
the Senate. The Senate's funny, it's set up differently. It's got Republican control, but it's slightly. And you got 4 Democrats that are independent. Jeff Klein, who we know very well, he's a good guy.
What's her name?
The one from Savino, and the other guy.
And what about at the federal level? Do you have friends at the federal level?
Well,
Yeah,
they're
we got
lobbyists
friends
in
in
the
the
feds.
federal
Well, they pretty much. I mean, will they pretty much push any bill you guys give them, or are they?
Well,
will
they'll- I mean, you got
Yeah,
a Republican
there's
Congress.
always one that's friendly that will, like I have a lot of my colleagues, Nadler and
Elliot Engel.
Elliot Engel.
He's running
people
today in
like
the
that,
primary.
Peter Lowy, people that
I mean,
know.
But you're like individual guys. I'm not talking about the bodies themselves.
We're
I'm
good
talking
with
about
Gillibrand
Gillibrand.
and Schumer, Chuck Schumer.
So can you go to like Gillibrand and Schumer and say, hey, we need you to pass this bill, and they'll just do it?
Well, they'll support
Well,
it.
they'll support it, maybe,
Nothing's an
introduce
automatic.
it.
Nothing's
Nothing's a
automatic.
But I mean, is
guarantee.
their support automatic? I mean, is it kind of like they just? Are you guys friendly enough with them that it's
I
like?
think that,
they'll do
they
that?
would
Yeah.
probably
They
be
probably got
supportive.
100% voting
They'd
right.
have to have some kind of, justification.
The
And if they were supportive, they'd introduce it.
The president, if he wants to, can make things happen,
Yeah.
That's the magic number there.
We have some mutual friends with at least Gillibrand's office, don't we?
I don't know.
So,
Well, the Congress is important too, right? That would be the first step, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's where
money.
the big money comes from, and especially we really want this
How
to
many people
get in
have you
this.
actually employed? Have you any idea?
I think in the past, I think we started with more than what we have, but we had to let a lot of people go, or
Yeah,
we.
well, just even
yeah.
rotating,
Ongoing, he means, all
Since
you know,
2000.
about hundreds,
About, I think it started with
Mhm,
like
hundreds,
80,
yeah.
but then we didn't really have.
So you had turnover.
Turnover.
Yeah, it went up and down and that sort of thing.
It's awful hard for anybody to vote against a jobs bill right now.
It just has to say jobs bill essentially, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do like Gillibrand, Schumer? will they, if you give them a bill that you wrote, will they be like, well, I have to see if I like, or will they just be like, no, I know you guys?
No, they might be, they'll probably review
No,
it.
They
No
would
matter,
be,
but
they would be
still.
agreeable to lend support. Understand, though, the degree of support is going to be based on how good the grant is, how it's written. They're all for jobs creation, but they want permanent jobs, they want purposeful jobs, so all of those things, I'm telling you, because I know.
Right,
down the
right,
road,
I know. And you've had
in order to be
20 years
to
experience.
sustain yourself, you've got to show not only that you're creating a job, is the job going to be there another couple of years, and at the same time, what is the job doing, okay? What purpose is it providing? So if you can evolve into, something like we were talking about, I think that's
Well, I think
a
the grant writers can spin that in a way that you've been doing, and they've been successful, whatever, in that respect.
And so, yeah, I mean, frankly, like, that's exactly right. We do want to evolve into a higher purpose.
Yeah.
At the moment, frankly, a lot of the
Yeah,
stuff we
that's
do
okay.
doesn't have purpose. We just kind of want,
Yeah, it's
we just
okay.
need
But I don't
the
think it's that
allowance
hard.
to-
I don't think it costs you anything to, you just put into the
Yeah.
grant, well, we're training people
Right.
to run heavy equipment and to be safe on the
Right, it's a
excavation sites.
training
blah, blah,
program,
blah,
yeah.
blah. And then, in order to, you get one person from one college around that's an artifacts expert. And we're training people to be observant, to look for artifacts, particularly on lands that may have a history of Indians or whatever,
Well, they
that
can
kind of stuff.
dovetail with DEC too,
And then DEC is a natural, remediation of toxic material. You identify the toxicity
Soil,
in
all that
the
stuff.
soil. That requires one
It helps
person to
DEC.
come in there and look at it. So you take samples, every time you dig, you take a sample of the soil, and you give it to somebody who comes on site, and they tell you, hey, there's gasoline or oil or whatever the hell it might be.
Well, it helps
Yeah, and it helps
DEC.
you guys, and you put more stuff in your grant.
These are good
and it doesn't
ideas.
cost you any
See,
money.
that's a justification for
Well,
DEC,
that's
because it's
what I'm
helping
saying.
them.
Yeah, we
It's a
can-
wing, it's a wing of
And we can
DEC.
introduce you to those people, and they
Yeah,
can start.
that would be great. But what I have to say, one of Pedro's incentives for moving into New York is it seems like you guys have people like Schumer and Gillibrand.
More
We have
receptive.
people- yeah.
More receptive than
legislature.
Christie
Yeah,
and his
more-
people. Yeah.
And so that's really comforting if you guys kind of know them and know other people like them, and if you have good clout with them and just can go to them and say, hey, this is our new bill, they're pretty loyal. They'll just do it. Would you say?
Well, we would do
Well,
all
I
of
think
that.
I think you get a lot of support. Like Ron says, nothing's a guarantee. You got to
I
get
mean,
in
if
there.
there's,
and-
Right,
if
right.
there's a lot of purposeless stuff that we're doing,
How
are
did it get passed in
there?
the first place?
Sorry,
How did it get passed in the first place, the first grant?
I think that came from.
That was
Back
back
from-
in, like, I don't know.
That was. Well, no. Our first one was 99.
I
It was
don't-
2000.
I
I
don't
don't know.
Well,
That was kind of.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's got to be some kind of criteria why they passed this thing in the first place.
Right,
We did
right.
the same thing. that
Right,
this is, you know what I'm
right.
saying?
Our grant writer, he's very good with language. He says what
Yeah,
people
well,
want
that's
to
good.
hear.
Well, that's good. That's what you need.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys are very
Yeah,
creative like that.
Once he learns about, some of the detail that the state of New York would look for, he could probably incorporate that stuff. That's, like we were just talking it. What the hell is
With
it
the
to hire
DEC?
one guy to come over there and take samples of soil, bring it to DEC to see if it was toxic?
But
Right,
I mean,
right.
that's what we're afraid of. Is that
Like a wing
a
with
lot of the Republicans, especially in Jersey, are a little too clever when they, when they read some of our grants and they're like, well, what's the, whereas we essentially need friends in both Congress and in state legislatures who will, even if they see that a lot of it's just window dressing, they'll be like, hey, that's and
There's a
not
lot of-
make a thing out
There's
of
a
it.
lot of window dressing in politics. A lot of things, you might necessarily, it's hard to explain, but what happens a lot is a lot of guys will say, look, one of our friends will go, we got a bill here, we need your support on it. Well, geez, I don't really like it, but I'll support it if you support this. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the whole thing is just garnishing enough votes to get this thing passed.
Yeah.
And that's usually how it happens with most of these bills. And, I think if it got passed through once, it should get passed through again. We just have to use the same criteria. Admittedly, it's a little tougher environment right now, economically. But on the other hand, there's jobs. They need jobs right now. People, everything's about jobs. This whole election's about jobs. The economy's about jobs. So, this is a jobs bill.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
So jobs bill, I mean, it's a great time because to have, we just call it a jobs bill. We say, oh, the Greens like it, help us pass it.
Yeah.
And then we pass it, more workers, more expansion, more money, more,
So how many guys are working right now, active?
You said maybe
100.
With the company, 100, you got
Yeah.
working on
Well,
different sites?
A lot of different sites, but I'd say a little less
When these
than
guys,
that.
when
Yeah.
these guys, when it slows down, do these guys just, a lot of them just drift away, or do they come back, or how does that work?
They don't get paid if they don't work.
So they don't get
Right,
paid.
right.
And
They
they
don't
just
get
go
paid
on to
if they
other
don't-
things then?
Right,
You
yeah.
leave the company. Then he gets new guys.
sometimes, well, we've had a lot of people who have come back,
A lot of guys. There are a lot of familiar faces. Yeah.
Yeah, Donnie's been working there, I think, since
Yeah.
it started.
Okay.
But
How old is Pedro? Is he a young guy, old guy?
He's early 50s.
All right.
I'd say more like late 40s.
Okay.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, well, I don't know. But wait, isn't he? I thought he was like 48.
Well, I think the best thing to do
Just go
is
talk with him.
Okay.
talk to
His
him. I
birthday
think
was-
maybe Danny, John, I think your schedule, we should try to hook it up around your
Yeah,
schedule, John.
let's talk to him, see where he goes, give us some dates, and
Okay.
we'll put together a meeting, and we'll go meet with him, and then we'll narrow things down here and see where we want to go.
Yeah, wherever he wants to meet. If he wants to come here, we want to go, his office,
We can get over to Jersey.
you can go over
Okay,
there, too.
thank you.
It's easier for him.
Really?
He travels sometimes, so
Well-
he was just in Boulder yesterday, and we're like, well, we have these guys they're like, we'll only meet with you if we meet with Pedro, and
He was in
was
Colorado,
yeah,
get a grant out there, maybe.
yeah.
That's for gas. He's gonna be digging down that for gas.
Well, they have burned down half of the state now.
You guys
so
see that?
there'll be
But they
plenty
need
of-
you guys throwing dirt on
You
it.
guys should throw
Freaking
dirt on the
fires. See those fires out there?
No, I haven't. I
yeah.
haven't been paying attention to
Burn
that.
half the
Yeah.
state down.
No way. Oh my
What's your
gosh.
address, Fred?
Newendike.
Oh, how do you spell it?
Newand.
Thank you so much for meeting with us.
No.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Anything we can do to help out,
Yeah.
it's our job.
Thanks.
Cells on the back, too.
Cool.
So, we'll wait to hear from you guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
you give me a ring, give me some dates, and I can get back to John,
Alrighty.
and we try to coordinate.
Okay.
If it's gonna be over Jersey, so be it.
All right.
Thanks so much for your
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a card, John? Yeah.
Anytime.
thanks.
Much more
Thank you, Fred.
friendly and less.
Anthony, good to see you
All
again.
right, Danny.
Thank you so much.
You guys know how to get out of here?
Think so.
Well, you guys got a noble cause anyway.
That's right.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Good meeting.
Thanks so much for your
Okay.
time.
Thank you so much.
Good
Good to meet you.
And
Thank
we'll wait to
you.
hear back from you, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, great. All right, thanks.
Have a
Have a
good
great
rest.
day, guys.
Take care,
Appreciate
guys.
everything.
Thank
All
you.
right, I'll see you.
We do have some good friends. Let me see.
You just have to hit the green button.
Hit the green button. Okay.
It'll let you out.
All right. Thanks, you
Thanks
too.
so much. Pedro's gonna be. My thing kept vibrating. Is that normal?
Yeah, it'll do that. Just as long, like, I mean, once we get around the block, just check it, see if it's still recording.